The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Welcome to today's Platinum Millionaire Agent Maker webinar with your host, Todd Walters.
Thanks, Andrea. Nice to talk to everyone. Hope your businesses are up. As a matter of fact, let me address that real fast. Once a month when you log into the coaching site, you're going to get a survey that actually asks that question. Is your business up or down over the same month a year ago? And if so, why? And is your business up or down year to date compared to last year, and why? So let me help you answer the why question real fast while we're getting settled in here. You know, like, why is your business up? Why is your business down? That is a massive question. It has on probably there's a lot of different ways you can go with this. But the idea is to get you thinking about, why is that? Like, why is my business moving in a forward direction or a downward direction? Is it is it a new marketing system, some key new people I've brought in? Is the productivity level per agent up because of better training? So you want to drill down, drill down, drill down. One of the things you'll find is that if you're running a report every month of your closings, I mean, think about this. You run a report of all the sales that you had last month. Let's suppose you had 10 sales, and if you look at the sources of each closing, okay, you'll notice that each of the 10 sales came from a specific source, the source code. But if you're looking at the list of what all you're spending money on, you may notice that some of the things you're spending money on, there are no closings as a result of that investment, that the closings are coming from something else. So all of the answers to that will lead to why, like why business is up, where we're doing a better job of leveraging the listings we're getting to get more, specifically by X. And these are the conversations that you want to have with your coach, and all those kinds of things come into play. So anyway,
I'm here, Todd, as well.
Hey, Mr. Proctor, how you doing today?
Good, good. Sorry I was a little late getting on here.
That's okay. We were kind of waiting on you, but I had to pull the trigger. So anyway, I was just telling everybody about the new survey that we've got that pops up at the beginning of the month. Is your business up or down over the same time last year, and why?
Yep.
And I've gotten a few emails from some members asking me this question of, well, I don't really understand how to answer the question of why my business is up or why my business is down. So anyway, thought I would.
Well, that's a big problem in itself. If you don't know why your business is up or you don't know why it's down. So I mean, here's the problem. First of all, I think we all agree we should actually know if our business is up or down, and we should know by how much, and we should kind of know why.
Yeah, so it all starts with looking at the numbers. I know that we've talked about that, and we'll probably get into that a little bit more. So one of the things that I got used to doing that I learned from you early on in my business was, source coding everything, because we're spending money on a lot of things, a lot of investment into marketing, different marketing systems. But what we noticed is that over time, some of the marketing systems produced good return on investments. In other words, all the closings, or a good percentage of the closings, come from a smaller number of marketing initiatives. So there were some things we spent money on where we got very little to no closings from. So that told me precisely what I needed to invest more in, what I needed to invest less in, or work on improving to the point where we gave up on it. So that always led to what we call a routine. In other words, what we needed to do to get more business and be more productive. And the why question seemed to get answered on a regular basis just because of that right there alone. So I don't know. I thought it was worth addressing anyway, but I wanted everybody to be aware of that survey, because we're looking at those results. We're using those as talking points and discussion matters, on the coaching calls. So hopefully everybody answers that. And if you haven't seen it, let me know. Visit me an email, platinum@toddwalters.com. Let me know you haven't seen that question pop up yet. Could be a little technical glitch. I don't think so, but we'll run through all of that. Okay, next thing I got up on the screen here, all you guys should be able to see. Let me make sure you can. Is what's on the agenda coming up. So I want to talk about that real fast before we get into the materials that we've got for you today. This is very important. As you know, all of our live events, typically, even the outside sales agent workshops, they're all a little different than the previous ones we've done. Our big conferences, like the Millionaire Agent Maker Conference coming up here in Anaheim in September, we just finished the agenda. If I can find it, I'll put it on the screen for you. But look, there shouldn't be months that go by where you're not at one of our live events. I think everyone knows what the Platinum OSA workshops are. The next one coming up is August 21st and 22nd in Toronto. The agenda's right there. So just real quickly, let me give you the backstory on this workshop. I was talking to you, Craig, many years ago when we first put the Platinum program together, and I don't remember what was going on. I think I told you I had to get off the phone because I had my workshop going on. You said, what is that? And I said, well, the last few days of each month, I train my outside salespeople that are new to my team, and about once a quarter, I bring back the guys that have been through this before. At the end of every month, I spend several days just working with the outside sales guys, specifically in a workshop, all day long for about 3 days or so. And he said, hey, you should open that up to all the Platinum guys. So we did that about a decade ago, and these have been wildly successful. We move them around the country. Got this one in Toronto, August 21st through 22nd. The next one coming up, November 13th and 14th in San Francisco. So the idea here is that we'll train your team for you if you allow us, but you got to get them there. And if you're a Platinum member, you need to be at one of these Platinum OSA workshops every year. One of the issues, Craig, this is worth addressing right now, is we have a lot of members that will say, well, what should I come to? Should I come to the conference in Anaheim, or should I come to the workshop in San Francisco? Which one should I attend? And of course, our answer is, well, both. I mean, it's not smart to pass up the opportunity to work on your business. So just for the record, I addressed this in Orlando at the boot camp that we did for Platinum members, and this is a big problem among the members here, the majority of members, not so much so for the minority, and the minority being those among us that are doing really, really well. 7-figure incomes or better. The majority seem to get confused on their role here in their real estate business. Is your role to be the real estate agent, or is your role to be the rainmaker, the entrepreneur? Like, which one of these roles will make you more money, will grow your business at a faster pace? So when people say, hey, which one of these should I come to? Should I come to the workshop, or should I come to the Millionaire Agent Maker Conference? They're telling on themselves. They're basically saying, I identify more so with being a real estate agent than being the rainmaker or the entrepreneur. So I think it's pretty clear. We want you at all the events. That's why we do them. We do them for you guys. We don't do them for Craig and I. We're doing them for you. So you want to be there. So August 21st through 22nd in Toronto, Ontario, for the Platinum Outside Sales Agent Workshop. It's very sales heavy, geared towards conversion of the leads and presentations and leveraging the clients that you get. To get more clients, it takes at least 2 full days to get to that. And then, of course, we got our big Platinum Millionaire Agent Maker Conference coming up in September there. And I do have the agenda. I'll throw it on the screen here really fast. We haven't dolled it up yet and prettied it up, but it's going to be quite amazing. So if you enjoyed the last conference that we had with the halftime tailgate party and show with the whole Super Bowl theme, you're going to love this one as well. It will be quite magical, just to lay some hints out there. So we're going to be sending you guys videos of what's going on and this whole theme and why it's important to you as a business owner and being there. So anyway, looking forward to that, Mr. Proctor. It's going to be a lot of fun and a lot of energy and efforts going into it. And just like all the other past conferences, I'm sure we'll have members come up and say, oh my God, this is the best conference that I've ever been to. Like we see, and that's from people that have been going to them for 10 or 12 years. So anyway, I know you're working hard on it.
Well said, Mr. Walters. I like your talk about coming to the live events and how some of our members seem to have trouble getting their head around that. and understand that's the transition. It's hard going from a mindset of being the technician in the business to actually understanding it's far better off for you in the long run to be working on your business and spending your time thinking about how to do a better job of what you do. But you know, most people don't think that way. Most people they think it's a crazy wild hair idea to be you know, running off every once in a while to work on their business, and they defend that thought by, you know, I'm too busy out there working with buyers and sellers, and understand just doing more of what you're doing is just going to get you more of what you've got.
Yeah, and I don't think we've ever had anyone come up to us that I recall and say, you know what, I sure do regret coming. I'm glad I wish I was back at the my real estate office, you know, going on a buyer appointment right now. I don't think we've ever had anybody say that. Everybody always says, holy crap, I'm glad I pushed aside, you know, the business I was working on or working in and get here and work on my business because it, you know, number one, I just picked up 2 referrals from being here. Number 3, this one headline change alone, or this one USP change, or this one ad change, or this one system alone is going to get me more business or make things easier or better than what I'm doing. And those things don't happen if you get wrapped up in being the, quote, real estate agent every day in your business. So anyway, we keep beating that drum, and we're going to until we get 100% buy-in from everyone at being there. Okay. So anyway, so Craig, you know, there were 3 big things that I learned from you early on in my real estate career. And I think it's important that everybody knows that's watching and listening right now. They know that you know, I wasn't always, you know, working with you. You know, like I was a member. So I have great perspective on this whole Quantum Leap system. I was a member. I was a real estate agent, you know, kind of running along, running fast, you know, wanting to do things bigger and better. And that's how I went right up the ladder, straight to the top of the pyramid to you. And said, okay, you got a system, I want it. And I bought it. And then you coached me on putting the system into play over many years. So I want everybody to be aware that I've got unique perspective on this whole thing. So I know people look at me as a coach. I was reading some stuff on one of the Facebook or websites the other day, and it just kind of hit me like, you know, my coach Todd, and Todd's a platinum coach, and this, and I'm like, holy crap, you know, yes I am, but you know, I'm just like you guys. I am a good copier of the system, which makes me probably a pretty good coach. So I want everybody to really understand that as we move through this thing, is that I've got some unique perspective on this. I was a person who had to go and copy things and ran into the same challenges and issues that other members have. I didn't invent any of it. I just copied it. And I want everybody to understand that. And the better I copied these things, the fatter and faster my business grew. So there were 3 big things, Craig, I learned from you early on. 3. All right. One of the 3 was leveraging a contact management system. Okay, but not in the sense that, you know, it's a place for contacts and, you know, and that sort of thing, and who do I follow up with today. I'm talking in the sense of the whole business side of the business. In other words, everything is ran by systems. It is the system, so that I could be doing anything that I wanted to do on any given day and knowing with predictability what was going to happen with any prospect, any client, any past client, any closing, anything, anywhere, anyhow, anytime, any place. That kind of system.
Okay. So here's what you're describing. What you were able to do with the contact management system is you were able to take what was in your head and program the contact management system with that. And all of us, you know, have this opportunity. We all know what should happen in our business, but in many cases it's in our head. So our challenge is to take these processes. Okay, when you list a house, you work with a buyer. Once a transaction closes, there's all these processes. So now you take what's in your head and you program the contact management system to make sure that it happens over and over and over, just the way it's supposed to, whether it's client 1 or client 1,000.
Yeah, absolutely, that's what it is. So that was such a game changer for me because, prior to that, we used, paper, notebooks, sticky notes.
Well, even prior to that, Todd, we used memory. I mean, we all did that right at the beginning. We the only system we had existed in our heads. So when I would list a house, I would have to get up every day and think about, okay, what should happen today? And then you list 5 houses, and then you list 50 houses, and it's hard to juggle all the balls and remember to do all the things you're supposed to do with all of these clients. If your business is really, really small, I guess that's not much of a problem. If you don't have any clients, then you don't have to be you don't have to be too organized. But as your business starts to grow, as you know, it's not going to cut it. And what happens is you start to drop balls, and you lose opportunities, and your clients don't get great service. So that was the big thing for me, was taking the idea of what was supposed to happen in all these different situations that existed in my head, and not just put it down on paper, but to program the contact management system. Now, at the beginning, it might be just you. So, you have to assign your name to all those activities. But the goal is, as you slowly replace yourself, is to really have nothing with your name assigned to it.
Right. So, as a matter of fact, and this is important for everyone to really pay attention to here, you would do hundreds of transactions a year with, 3, 4, 5 administrative people. I've talked to
people are always kind of blown away by that. That when we were selling 500 to 600 homes a year, we were doing it with a couple administrative people and like maybe 6 or 7 outside sales people. One of them was my dad, and he said he didn't want to work with buyers or sellers. So I think he was just coming into the office to hide from my mother. But anyway, we were pretty darn efficient. I mean, each one of my outside sales agents was doing 100 plus transactions, and we ran it pretty lean. Now in Canada, of course, we don't have to babysit the transaction once the conditions are removed up until closing. That's we didn't need a closing coordinator. So in some marketplaces, that's an extra person you have to have. But one admin person can do a lot of the things that we see on the organizational chart. So originally, my admin person was the customer service manager, the database manager, the team courier, the call coordinator, and the office manager. One person did all that initially. Okay, and the inside sales agent and outside sales agent, all the leads just initially were going to my outside sales agents, and then I realized, well, they don't want to call the leads, and if they're any good at it, they're going to take off and go work with a buyer or seller. So I split that into inside and outside. And then as the transactions ramped up and my admin person couldn't wear, 5 different hats, that's when we started, hiring a second and third person and so on.
Yeah, I remember having a conversation with you. This goes way back, and we got on this conversation about exactly what we're talking about today. And we started talking about the closing side of the business, what happens when it goes under contract. And I remember I had 4 people on my team, just that handled everything after it went under contract. The closing coordinators. There were 4 of them, and it would just be a pain in the butt, and it was a lot of money. Because we're doing hundreds of transactions. And after I was having a conversation with you, I remember within a month I was down to 1 closing coordinator because I realized that babysitting the transaction the way that we were doing it is we were just doing it that way because it's kind of how everybody else did it. So we went back, put better systems in play, and actually forced the mortgage company, the closing attorney, title company, the home inspector and the insurance guy just to do their jobs instead of us doing their jobs for them. So so that was a game changer, saved me a lot of money. I learned that from you, just to be better at the system side of things than having to always hire people to do things. We got better at that over time, and to the point where we were doing, literally same exact thing here. We had one closing coordinator, basically, a transaction manager for several hundred transactions, just like you talked about. And we were doing, 400 to 500 deals with basically 4 administrative people. And that was very efficient, very productive, very profitable. And a lot of people, right, you're correct, a lot of members don't understand or see how that works, and it goes directly back to their systems on how they do things, their processes, their methods. They're more people dependent on things. Even their salespeople maybe aren't productive. So let's talk about that for a minute. You know how you'll have one salesperson that can pop out 4 or 5 deals, and they have less issues with those clients than someone who's doing 2 deals a month that seems to have all kinds of issues going on, with fires to put out and problems and that sort of thing. So just because an agent is selling homes doesn't mean they're necessarily helping your team in terms of productivity, efficiency, and that sort of thing. So I'm sure you found that to be the case as well. Heck, you were selling, hundreds of houses with just a handful of outside sales guys.
Yeah, less is more for sure. I would rather have 5 or 6 really, really good outside sales agents. Like you said, the more money they made me, the less problems they caused me. It was always the lower producers that caused more problems, and I didn't have to worry about any of my outside sales agents leaving me because they were all making, $250,000 or more.
Yeah. So if we could get everyone watching the webinar today to focus on just the activities that they can change the outcome on, they would be forced to have to delegate, the overflow of everything else to really good people. Because if you hire somebody, an administrative person or an outside sales agent, and you still have to go and do their job, then I don't know what good they are to you as a team player or team member. Slows down the productivity of everything. So the idea here is not to abdicate responsibilities, but to delegate the responsibilities to people that can actually handle them, do them efficiently and productively, so that the team leader can spend their time doing these bullet points, that we've got here on the screen. Like if you can just spend your days doing this, you're on your way to making an awful lot of money in this real estate business. So one of the things that is worth talking about, and we can use this example, is the operations platform, the whole contact management system, CRM, the whole system for running the business really is one giant flow chart. Okay, it's a big flow chart of checklists. That's what everything is. So for example.
Well, you know what this is, Todd? This is really a drawing of the theory of my business. And you want to know where I got this from? I saw a drawing many, many years ago, and it was created by Walt Disney, and it was the theory of Walt Disney. In fact, our titanium meeting, starting this week, I'm going to bring that and show everybody Walt Disney's drawing. This was the theory of Walt Disney. So this was his theory he had at the beginning of it, and I thought, well, that's pretty cool. So actually, I've got it in front of me right now. So, he's got Disneyland, but then he had merchandise licensing. He had theatrical films. Okay, back then that's what they called them, theatrical films. He had a magazine. He had publications. He had comic strips. He had music. So he had this drawing of the theory of his business. So that's what I tried to do. I tried to, like, what's the theory of lead flow through our business? What is this process? How's it going to work? And I started creating these drawings of all these different processes in my business. But this is the lead flow chart, and this is like trying to take what was in my head and put it on paper to make sure that everyone in my business understood how things were supposed to work. You know, the universal callback script is another example of a process that existed only in my head. So when I trained my outside sales agents initially on how to follow back the leads, I could never understand why they didn't get it, why they didn't do as well with conversion as I was doing. It seemed so easy to me, and then I finally realized that it only existed in my head. They didn't understand it. They didn't get the picture because that picture was only in my head. So that's why I created the universal callback script. And then for our coaches, we created the business autopsy flowchart. Okay, because you and I, Todd, are pretty good when we do a consultation. So we're trying to pass on what's in our head to our coaches, so the coaches go through a systematic process when they're speaking to one of our members to identify, what their biggest problems are and what's the next step, what's the thing to talk about. So that's what I encourage everybody to do is, I believe you guys, know an awful lot in your head right now, but that's the problem. It only exists in your head. So we got to get it, first of all, down on paper. We've got to get it into a system like a contact management system. Your people all need to understand it and buy into it. But this was the lead flow chart. This is exactly how leads are going to fall through. Not maybe, but all the time in my office. 100% of the time, it needs to work this way until we find a better way of doing it. And when we find a better way of doing it, we're all going to do it that way.
Yep. So if you look at this, where it says right here, this appointment book, the lead manager assigns appointment with best OSAs, getting best OSA appointments where possible. That little red square right there. The cool thing about each one of these action points and decision points is there's a checklist for that. Okay, so we book an appointment. Okay, now what happens? And there's a checklist for it. And we get the listing agreement is signed. Now what happens? There's a checklist for that. Listing agreement is not signed. There's a checklist for that. And I think that many of our members, their process or methods for doing things, the reason business falls through the cracks or they don't get as much conversion or much mileage out of every client they bring on, every prospect they get, every sign they put into a yard, everything that they've done is because they lack understanding how to leverage each decision point properly, what all can be done. So for example, here are the appointment plans, for the prospects that we would book appointments for. And one of the things on here would be to follow up with the prospect after the appointment if we didn't get the agreement signed. That one activity alone was worth multiple transactions for the rest of my real estate career. Here's one. Give the listing appointment to Agent A. Agent A goes on the listing appointment. They don't get the listing agreement signed. Agent A comes back. Hey, what happened there, Agent A? How come you didn't get the listing signed? Well, they said they needed to think about it a little bit, and we talked about it, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to get the listing. Okay, so I would follow up with the prospect. Mr. and Miss Prospect, how you doing? Todd Walters, wanted to follow up. I appreciate you talking to Agent A, on my team, my partner there about, getting your home sold. Wanted to see what we need to do to get your business. Well, appreciate you calling, Todd, but I think we're probably going to go ahead and do business with somebody else. Okay, and through the course of the story, I get good feedback on Agent A. Okay, and I'm in a position now to change the outcome. Sometimes I could, but sometimes it was a learning curve to learn what we did wrong. Both of those things would make us better. Being able to resurrect the deal that was probably going bad, or improving how we did things along the way. So those autopsy calls, even though I didn't do them all the time forever, I made enough of them to make drastic improvements in our business and get business that we wouldn't have gotten that led to me. And that's just one activity on the appointment plan. Okay? So another activity on the appointment plan would be setting the stage or managing the prospect's expectations. As a matter of fact, Craig, in Anaheim in September, at the Platinum Millionaire Agent Maker Conference, Jim Buttrell's doing a session, specifically on this. One of the things I've been working with him on over the last few months is his process, his methods of doing things from the time they set the appointment, while he's still on the phone with the prospect, throughout the process of what happens next, all the way to when the agreement is signed. And it's quite a bit. There's quite a bit of activities that go on right there, things, processes, words that are used over the phone, pre-selling systems that get sent out ahead of time via email and offline by mail. All of these things work to increase the productivity in Jim's business, the likelihood he's going to get the business at a better commission rate, getting it in one-step appointments, and all those other things that go along with it. So both of those, or all of those things, are incorporated into the activity plan, and that's what activity plans do. Okay, and I get it that the average member may have a difficult time based on their available time to be able to pick up the phone and call back a seller prospect or a buyer prospect that didn't sign an agreement to find out if what you need to do to get their business, and learn from that and actually get their business if you can get it. I get that that's a problem of time, but that gets back to what we just talked about, being the rainmaker and only doing the rainmaking activities, and that would be one of them, will make you more money than getting caught up as the real estate agent and saying, well, I just don't have time to really do these things. So I want to encourage everybody, as we kind of walk through some of this today, to grab this PowerPoint from the coaching site. Okay, it's got all of the activity plans in there, right out of the contact management system copy, but really read between the lines on what these things are designed to do, which is to make your business better, make you more money, make it easier to do things. But anyway, wanted to squeeze that in. So that goes back, directly to that one decision point there when the appointment is booked. Okay, what happens now? So there are quite a few things that happen, and good reasons why they should. So as a matter of fact, each one of these points, there's a checklist for that. Okay, so for example, when the OSA meets with the prospect, okay, yes, they're giving a listing presentation, but what does that entail? Well, the listing presentation has, quote, demonstration of value. You take along your list of buyers, and testimonials, and other things. So each one of these decision points, specific steps in the process, there are methods, there are processes, there are things to do that if not done properly here, you're not, quote, copying Craig Proctor or the Quantum Leap system. So I want everybody to know the reason that I was able to rapidly grow my business to millions of dollars a year in commissions is because I learned early on from Craig that there was a little more to the system. Okay, there's a listing presentation, but what happens when I knock on the door? What do I say? When do I say it? When I sit down, what am I showing them? How am I demonstrating value? What words am I using to actually influence the prospect to get to do business with me? What happened before I even showed up or even used the first word on the benefits presentation in the appointment? When I'm getting the listing agreement signed, what happens next before I walk out the door to manage their expectations and to set things up to be successful? And the list goes on and on. So this is why I say, look, when you buy the Quantum Leap system, when you purchase this Quantum Leap system, what we nicknamed the Millionaire Agent System, it's a great system, but the coaching is necessary so you don't miss on these steps and these details that turn into an awful lot of money for you down the road. So anyway, so that's what I mean, Craig, when I tell people I've got great perspective on this, as an example. So you probably remember this screenshot, Mr. Proctor, from Agent Office. So that's a direct screenshot from the contact management system with the activity plan launched. And you can see that they're assigned to different people. This will be something interesting that I want to make everybody aware of. You can see that the inside sales agent was the one, setting up the appointment, okay, based on who we told them to send the appointment to. See, and those are things you can't see on these screenshots and these PowerPoints, is how we do things. We didn't allow the inside sales agent to arbitrarily pick, okay, who they should give the appointment to. I learned from you, Craig, that if we're going to give appointments to somebody, we give them to the best agents. And I would tell the inside sales agent, here's who you give the appointments to. This appointment goes to that guy, this appointment goes to this person, In other words, I wrote the rules, and the inside sales agent's job was to follow the rules. Because whenever I'm out of the office, the agents would go in there, try to schmooze the inside sales agent into giving them the appointments. And I didn't go for that. Best agents get the best appointments. And
the inside sales agents quickly figure that out as well because they want to get paid. And, look, opportunity cost, right? You knew, Todd, that there were some types of leads that if you sent out one of your agents, they're going to come back to the office with an excuse. And if you send a different one of your agents, they're going to come back with a great listing at the right price, at the right commission rate for the right length of time.
I mean, you have to run your business on that rule. It's critical. It's just critical to success. All right, let's fast forward a little bit in the process. One of the things in the activity plan actually says, hey, you've got to update, make sure that everything's correct on in this case, we call them user-defined fields. And I want to show you what I mean by that. See, every transaction had an agent, every transaction had an inside sales agent, every transaction came from somewhere, a source code, okay? And it may have been even more detailed than one specific lead source. In other words, okay, if it came from Google, which ad on Google did it come from? So we could run reports, every month on where the business came from, who's involved in the business, and that's all I need to know. I could look at my reports, my sales reports, and know exactly what we're spending money on, what's working, what's not working, which agents are selling the most homes, which agents aren't, and that sort of thing. Because one of the activities that I kind of glassed over here, and I want to show you this. This will be pretty slick. Okay, you can see that one of the activities is that there's a new buyer appointment that was set by inside sales agent assistant 3, which was a person, and that would automatically show up on our appointment schedule that my office manager looked at. In your case, Craig, in your office, it was Catherine. So Catherine would, and you tell me if I got this wrong, but Catherine would make sure that just because agent X got a lead, she would make sure that agent X was following up the lead. So while the agent X over here is getting assigned a lead to follow up with, Catherine also saw that there was a lead that was assigned to agent X, and a couple of days went by, and if the lead's not being followed up on, she would say, hey, why aren't you following up on this lead? Like, what's going on with it? And if she realized that they couldn't get to it, she would take the lead and move it to the next agent who could follow up with them. Okay, so without a contact management system or CRM or processes and systems for doing that, then leads just fall into the cracks. That means that your inside sales or outside sales agents actually run the business without that kind of checks and balances. So we learned that early on in the process. Thanks to being really involved in the coaching program with you there, Mr. Proctor. So anyway, just wanted to show a little bit of that and how we did things at the base level in the system of how the business is run so that it worked all the time, flawlessly, behind the scenes and in front of the scenes, no matter what I was involved in. So when you asked me, Craig, back in 2003, hey, help me with this platinum level coaching program. I think we've got something really good here. One reason I was able to do that is because of the systems that we had in place that we're sharing with the agents today. I was able to dedicate large amounts of time basically working in my business part-time and the majority of time with you. So without a business being ran like that, with those kinds of systems and processes, I would have never been able to do it. And
I have to think, I believe that everyone with us here today would like to have a business like the business you had and the business I had. And if they don't want a business like that, I'd have to understand why, or maybe they don't understand really, what we had going on and how this business worked and how it benefited us. But it's worth making the sacrifices to get your business in order like that, because it will make your life so much better. And sometimes you're going to have bad days, and sometimes it's difficult. But what's your option? Your option either is to create a real business or to keep being your business and keep, things will never get any better than they are right now. And I think that's just human nature. I think we all want things to continually get better. That, we're all creative individuals, and we want to, expand and do better, and this is the right program for that. So that brings us back to, Todd and I sort of scratch our heads when some of you, either don't come to any of the meetings or you pick and choose. You should be at all the meetings. That's where the big gains are going to come from, is collaborating and working on your business. If you stay back home and you just are worried about the next buyer and the next listing and what am I going to miss during those couple days, well, it's kind of small thinking, really. Hopefully you can rise above your business and kind of look at it as something separate from you, and realize the only way this thing gets better is by learning from people that are doing it bigger and better than you. Todd, that's what you did. Mm-hmm. That's what I did. I did a heck of a lot of learning from industries outside of real estate. A lot of the ideas I brought into real estate didn't exist in real estate. When I studied other industries, way back in the late 1980s and early 1990s, I realized that there were entire industries that sold gazillions of dollars worth of products and services where cold calling didn't exist. I realized when I looked at other industries that most industries, with the exclusion of real estate, most professionals worked with a team of people. That real estate was kind of weird. It was kind of unique. It was like one of the few professions where one person does everything by themselves. And even if you compare being a professional real estate agent to working as a sales executive for any Fortune 500 company in the country, real estate compared to that is a really bad job. Because if you worked for a Fortune 500 company, you would have a guaranteed salary, guaranteed, plus you'd make a commission or bonuses on top of that, but you'd probably make in excess, net in your pocket, $100,000 a year guaranteed in your pocket, a certain paycheck every week or every other week, and on top of that you'd make commission. And the company would pay for all the marketing and advertising. You wouldn't pay for it. Wouldn't come out of your money. The company would pay for all the leads. The company would even provide you your business cards. They'd probably provide you a company car. You would work a set 40-hour work week. You'd have vacations. You'd be able to plan things and keep your plans. None of what I just described exists in real estate. So to do real estate the normal way, I think we all have to agree it's not a business, it's a job, and it's just frankly not a very good job. It's a bad job when you compare it to other alternatives.
You make it sound so good.
Well, it can be good. It can be really bad too. That's why we have these extremes. You meet real estate agents that give their entire lives up to real estate. They really make a bad trade. They trade everything in their life. They trade their health. They trade their marriages. They trade all their time, and they're kind of rowing in the same boat, even 20 or 30 years in the business. And then you've got the members that we know that build these great businesses and have great lives, and the business truly runs without them, and it's something that obviously makes their life way better. So when people say, is real estate a bad job or is real estate a great business opportunity, the answer is both. It can be both. You got to choose what you want.
Yeah, and I think that, since I know that without the processes, the systems here, the job continues. It continues to be bad. So here's another example. I was looking at this this form, which was basically everything that we had, inside our contact management system. We would have on any given day, 100, 200 active listings. And each one of those listings has a lockbox. Everyone has a sign. And most of them had a radio talking house. Those things are expensive. Those little digital key boxes alone were like $60-something. So when we, at some point in my career, Craig, we realized they would come up missing. So we began to inventory every one of them. They had to be checked in and checked out. They followed, all of these things followed each listing along, and they would have to get back delivered to the office in the inventory shed that we had right there at our office. So everything is pretty well systemized so that we knew at any given time where every lockbox was, what sign number was on, when I say number, the number of the post was on what property at any given time, okay? So that we tracked every dollar. Those things are expensive. We knew where it was, where the money was going, and when it was time to replace one, we retired it, and we replaced it, okay? And the reason was because we knew where everything was at any given time. So anyway, so down to things like that matter when your business begins to grow, okay? Profit becomes a big deal. So when you're the team leader and you begin to delegate the business, the appointments to other agents on your team, and you're giving up half the commission to these agents, so out of the other half, you've got to fund marketing and operations and labor, and then you're going to basically have to pay your bills, your personal bills, on the profit that's being generated. That 20-25% profit margin, whatever it is. Okay, well, all of these little things matter. A $63 lockbox times 5 getting lost every month or gone or stolen or whatever the process might be, signs, all that kind of good stuff. Those things begin to matter significantly. So without proper systems in place, using a platform that keeps up with all this stuff, you're going to run into profitability issues. So everything is systemized right down to where the dadgum, what for sale sign is in what yard. All right, let's see what else we got here. Anyway, this is fun, man. This could, for many, this is, for a lot of agents, this is not very exciting or sexy or glamorous. But Craig, I got to tell you right now, when I did that recorded call on the coaching site, when people log into it, as a matter of fact, let me throw that up there real quick. This is and I don't know if you know this, Craig, but it's definitely worth saying. Right here on the coaching site is this recorded call that I did a few years ago. Okay, and on this call, I'm very specific. There were 3 things, massive meaning to my business. 3 of them, not 15 or 20, but 3 big things that without these things, I just wouldn't be sitting here in front of the computer talking to you as a platinum coach, let alone a very successful real estate person retired from selling real estate at age 39. Just wouldn't be there without those 3 things. And one of them is this whole system for running the business, which is a system of systems and checklists and all that kind of. It's one of the big 3. The other 2, incidentally, are the development and implementation of a unique selling proposition. And the third one was the DISC personal concept. Those 3 things. I can trace the success of the business back to those 3 things, Craig. The DISC personal concept for obvious reasons. You got people to manage. You got to get them to do things. They're all different. They have different personalities. And I'm trying to motivate them on a daily basis to come in and work for me, spend long hours doing it instead of being clock watchers, buy into this overall thing. So we want to manage people the way they want to be managed, and converting every listing that I didn't get, every signed agreement that we didn't get signed was worth multiples of thousands of dollars, not just in that one listing sale, but in all the other listings we were going to get from having that one listing. So the DISC personal concept, the reason I said it was one of the 3 is because it allowed me to sell to people the way they were sold to, and I converted more. prospects to clients. So those are three big things that are on this call. If you haven't listened to it in a while, I want to encourage you to go back, pay attention to it, listen to it. As a matter of fact, this one's probably the third, I would say the third version that I've done. I do one about every now and then with a group of new Platinum members. It's worth listening to, but it deals with those three things. Didn't know if you knew that, Mr. Proctor.
No, I did not.
Yeah, see there? Even you learned something today.
Even I learned something.
Even you learned something today, yeah. So anyway, let's take a look at a couple of more things here, and everyone can get their questions ready. Craig and I will definitely deal with those for you. But hopefully we're making some sense here on systems, okay, to run your business, your method, your process for doing things, so that you can actually spend your time being the entrepreneur, the rainmaker in your business. So, for example, this is the obvious one. When you list a house, like, what happens next? What then? Okay, so a couple of things I want to point out here that are unique or unusual. Here's one, okay, and this will make some sense to some people, won't to others. Okay, but the state of Georgia passed a law some time ago that said that we had to have a letter from a termite company to pass along to the buyer when they bought the house from the seller. Had to be free and clear of termites or whatever. So we just made it part of our activity plan, and I gave my pest control guy, I made him an assistant, to my contact management system. So whenever we would list a house, we just added that necessary step into the actual activity plan so that the activity would be automatically assigned to the pest control guy, and he could go out there to the new listing and do the termite letter, get it back to us, and then we had it in the file. It was done. So then when the buyer come along, we already had the termite letter. It was all done, and we didn't do anything. All I did was just add the activity to the plan and include the termite guy as an assistant on my team. So these things happen as a direct result of basically sitting around and figuring out how not to do things. Because before that, we had to jump through a bunch of hoops to do this. We'd wait, okay, we got a buyer, we got to get a termite letter. Oh my God, there's a problem. Got to get a bond now. That's going to delay the closing, and there's this going on there. And it just, after a few of those problems, you're like, there's got to be a better way to do this. And there is, if you can sit around and think about these things. So we like to say that we've experienced most of the problems in this business, but every marketplace has some different regulations, like the one that I'm pointing out here. And it may need to be incorporated into your activity plan so that it reduces the stress level, increases efficiency and productivity for everybody involved in your real estate business and your client's experience. So this saved us a lot. We got more referrals and more testimonials as a direct result of that one activity added to the activity plan early in the process. And so anyway, just thought that was worth pointing out here, just on the new listing plan. Everything else on there is pretty self-explanatory for everybody. Everybody, I think, pretty much has a handle on those things, but that might get you thinking a little bit differently about how you do things in your real estate business there.
Well, you said something very important, Todd. You said that the question you continually asked yourself was, there's got to be a better way, right? And then you built it into your plan.
Yes, like I said.
Isn't that what every entrepreneur says in the time of crisis, when things are going crazy? Right? You think there's got to be a better way.
Yeah, there typically is, right? But if you're so involved in the business, and this is why
most real estate agents are too busy doing what they do to figure out a better way. And it brings us right back to what you said at the beginning of the webinar, is do I need to come to these trainings? Do I really need to be there to learn better ways to do what I'm doing? It's kind of crazy when you look at it that way, isn't it? Well, you don't have to be. You can keep doing it your way. or you can learn from people that are obviously doing it a better way because they're doing much more business than you are, right? I mean, look, if you were coming to a meeting to learn from people that weren't doing as good as you are, well, I can see how that would be, not a constructive activity. But if you want to learn how to become better, the only place where you're going to learn how to do better is from people that are doing better.
Yeah, that's so true. That's so true, and that's why we keep going back to encouraging everyone to get to these live events. Getting in front of you for 3 days.
It's human nature. They say change the way you think, and everything else changes. I was talking to our inside salespeople at the production office today, and they're following up with people that have made inquiries about attending their very first super conference. And the two biggest objections that real estate agents have as to why they're not coming to the super conference is, 3 days. Well, I don't have 3 days to take away from my business, or I don't have the money to go. So what they're really saying is, I don't have any money in my life, and I don't have any time, which ironically are the very reasons you want to be at the conference, so you can have more money and more time in your life. So it's just, it's just human nature, and we're even getting some of this resistance at the platinum level, where people aren't coming to the meetings that they've paid a lot of money to come to, or they pick and choose. So I'm sorry, but I'm going to keep harping on your initial thoughts because you and I don't get it, right? And like we don't get paid any more from you guys whether you come to the meetings or not. You can pay us all the money and then not come to any of the meetings, but we want you to succeed. So that's why we keep coming back to this and harping on, because we really want you guys to get it. Like, it's silly. Like, you need to be at these meetings.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. One of the things I've got down on the agenda, Craig, for Anaheim, for the Platinum Millionaire Agent Maker Conference in September, is I'm noticing that all of these activities that are on all of these activity plans that are in the contact management system here are assigned to different administrative people. So what I've got is I've got a session set up for you and I to give to the members here on what the administrative side of the business really does and looks like. Okay, so that you can sell hundreds of homes with just a few people in the administrative side of your business. Who do you hire and when do you hire them? And what exactly should they do and when should they do it? And how should they do it? It'll take us, about an hour and a half, to kind of run through all of that. But I do have that sketched out on the agenda to do. And it jogged in my memory when I was sitting here looking at these, some of these plans that are obvious. So that alone right there would be very worthwhile, sacrificing a lot to be there in September in Anaheim. So,
okay, Todd, we've got some questions coming into the chat here, and we're going to encourage you folks to ask your questions, make your comments. So what I'll do is I'll cherry pick some of these questions here, Todd. We'll get to as many as we can, and I'll ask you the questions. So let me know when you're ready for that.
Yeah, go ahead, buddy.
Okay, so for everybody else, like, this is live. We want to be interactive. Let us know what's on your mind. Did you learn anything today? If yes, if no, let us know what you thought of our session so far today. But we want to help you. Let us know what burning questions you have, concerns, whatever, and Todd and I will tackle them. Okay, so the first question is from Evelyn, and Evelyn is asking, where is the file that you're showing on the screen, the Plat level CRM for Quantum Leap?
Yep, it's on the coaching site under the file library, Platinum Operation Systems. Platinum Operation Systems. And you'll find it right there, Platinum Operation Systems Library. And while you're reading the next question, Craig, I'll see if I can find the ID number on that real fast. And it's also in the Millionaire Agent Maker Guide. See, remember the business plan, and this is important. So when these things come up, you can easily grab your business plan, this Platinum Millionaire Agent Maker Guide that we've given you guys. You can flip to the index. You can scroll down through the index, and you'll see where it says Platinum Operation Systems, and it tells you what page it's on. You flip to that page, and there's where all the materials are listed by ID number on the things that we're talking about right here, for example, this whole Platinum Operation Systems activity plans. So most of the questions on where things are on the coaching side are answered in the business plan, the Millionaire Agent Maker Guide. That's why I wrote it. So
for example, Joel Smith's asking, where can we find this chart? So I assume he's talking about the lead flow chart.
Yeah, we actually posted that. Angela posted it as a handout on the webinar right now. It's on everybody's control panel too. Isn't that right? I can see it right there.
Okay, Dan is asking, is this a template format for the contact management system?
Sure. It's what it is. It's right out of the contact management. So let's kind of be clear on this. Like back in the day, we had the technology that we have today. We didn't have that long ago. I don't even know how long email's been around. Not that long. So, but we would have information lines. We'd pick up the phone and listen to the recorded messages and have to write it down and then turn around and type that stuff into the contact management system, whatever we were using at that time, Agent Office. We'd have the leads come in, from our website that, we'd have to print and then sit down and type them into the contact management system. Calls coming in from for sale signs, writing that down, turn around, typing everything back in. Okay, well, here we are, 2015. Technology is finally catching up with how we do things. Okay, where we're able to just about get everything integrated into one place automatically with more automation and efficiency. That when something happens, automatically the next thing happens without somebody having to press a button. It's already predetermined. Okay. The problem with those kinds of things in automation, and everybody listen really close, and I learned this early on from Mr. Proctor, and I want to pass this advice on to you. The issue with a lot of automation is that you take your eye off the ball, okay? And these leads that you generate are very important. You will not be automatically able, at this moment in history anyway, you're not automatically able to convert leads to appointments and to clients. So when you involve a lot of automation and spend enormous amounts of energy and time to try to get the perfect emails and the perfect text messages and the perfect follow-up automated this and that happens, I'm telling you, you'll take your eye off the ball and leads will fall through the cracks and you'll wonder what's happening. We've even had members that have taken enormous time off to build the contact management systems. And our question is real simple, like, okay, well, how's that going to make you more money? And they never really have a good answer for it, okay? So just want to make sure that everybody understands that the reason we do these things is so you can keep your eyes on the ball, not take them off. So
okay,
be careful.
Our next question. Hey, Todd, I was getting a bit of an echo before. Do you still hear it?
No, I don't.
That sounds okay. Okay. Next question is from Victor. It appears that Victor is looking for some success stories here. His question is, how fast has one of our members in this program reached the multi-millionaire level?
It might be Jonathan Leahy. He went from $70,000 to about $1 million, 24 months maybe, or Jim Buttrell. He did it within a couple of years. 24 months maybe. It depends on the level. Like if you're at $900,000 and go to 1.1 million in GCI in 12 months, that's not that big a deal. But so it would be the overall quantum leap that I think would be most impressive. And we've got a lot of stories on, with people like that. We run them up on stage.
Okay, Kathy Buck has just typed in here in capital letters that she wants to be the next multi-millionaire success story. So Kathy, good for you. we will help you do that. Yeah, but I think those the two that you mentioned, Jim Vittrell and Jonathan Lay, are certainly great examples of people that have had huge quantum leaps. And yeah, we're not talking about somebody going from $1.5 million to $2 million. That's not a quantum leap. We're talking about somebody like Jonathan Leahy. Would you say $70,000?
Hey, when I first met, yeah, when he first joined the program, he was about $70,000. You know, so it was just 2.5 years ago.
Okay, next question's from George Lorimer. Hey, George, how you doing? Craig and Todd, what is the best way to go over the universal business autopsy with my team members, my OSAs? Do I just hand it to them? Do I have a team meeting and review the items? Do I call them out on it, etc.? If a team member is not giving updates on the leads that I give them, should I just cut off the leads? Well, that's good leverage. I would say, yeah, if they're not updating your contact management system with exactly what's going on. I had that problem. I used to have that problem with the outside sales agent. The inside sales agent would set the outside sales agent up for a listing appointment, and then like a couple days later, there's no notes. So did they get the listing? Did they lose the listing? Are we supposed to be following up with this prospect? So it is frustrating. So that's the leverage that you have, George, is if you don't add notes, we're not giving you any leads. I mean, like, you can't accept the leads without accepting the program.
Yeah, I threw up a copy here of the Universal Business Autopsy as well, so that everybody knows what George is talking about. And this is a training tool with your team. So if you have a team, this accompanies you to each training session. When you meet with your team on Monday, your sales guys, this is sitting right there on the table.
You know, it's kind of what's happening with Greece right now. I don't know if you've been following what's going on with Greece, Todd, but they're into the European Union for all these billions of dollars, and they need more money. Okay, they can't make their loans. They need more money, and so there's an austerity program, and there's rules to the program. Well, you know, Greece wants the money, but they don't want to follow the rules to pay the money back. They don't want to make the cuts, the austerity. You know, they didn't mind spending the money. They just don't want to pay it back. So it's kind of like our outside sales agents, George. They'll accept the leads. So they'll say, hey, George, here's how we would like it to work. You go spend all this money on marketing and advertising, generating the leads, and then you have you give the leads to the inside salespeople, and you have the inside salespeople call back dozens and hundreds of these leads, and you book an appointment, but then you give it to me, but then we don't want any rules. You know, there can't be any rules. So you do all that, and then just give us the appointment, and you know, we'll do with it what we will. That's not going to fly. So yes, if they're not, like, some of them will be doing well, right, and others aren't. So you spend time with the people that are doing well, and you look at what they're doing, and then you've got other outside sales agents that aren't doing well, and there's a reason for it. And either they've got to, you know, follow the rules, because those rules are in place for a reason, or they can't continue to get the leads. And you can't be afraid to cut loose the people that aren't going to play your game. So what that really means is we have to make recruiting easy. If recruiting is difficult, if recruiting and training are difficult, it makes us put up with people that we shouldn't put up with. Right? If finding new people and training them was easy, then you wouldn't have much tolerance for people that didn't play the game you want them to play.
That's a really good point. So
is that not true, though? The bigger pain in the butt it is to recruit and train new people, the more BS you'll put up with your existing people.
There was no question.
If it was really easy for you to get good people and train them to be excellent, you wouldn't put up with it. You wouldn't put up with people that are, you know, incompetent or won't follow the rules. So that leads us right back to, well, let's have a really good recruiting system. So we're never, you know, we're never operating out of desperation. You know, we hear from so many of our members that say, well, I really know I should get rid of Susie or I should get rid of John, but, it's such a hassle. It's so much work to find somebody new and to train them, and the pain of interviewing them and, of recruiting, all the stuff you have to do to train them. I'll just put up with Susie or John.
Yeah, I'm with you. So it was pretty easy to plug somebody in. As a matter of fact, if like you're looking at the screen right now, you can see that like this back on market activity plan, it's assigned to courier department versus a specific name. That was the one part of my business that we had the most turnover in. It would basically have a different runner about every 8 months into it. So I got tired of changing the freaking name in the contact management system that we just changed the name to courier department. And it made it easy, so whenever the new person showed up, he was the courier department.
Right.
And,
well, I would say for me, and for most of us, it's inside sales is the toughest. That's
no question. That's
arguably the hardest position to recruit for. Yeah. So, for example, in my production company, as you know, a couple of weeks ago, Todd, I ran a bunch of ads for an inside salesperson. This is someone that's going to follow up with real estate agents that have inquired about our training and the conferences and coaching. So they're never making a cold call. They're only calling back people that have contacted us. Does that sound familiar? Right? That's what the Craig Proctor program is all about. You should only be following up with buyers and sellers that have raised their hands on their own volition. They've come to you, and they obviously need some help in their real estate moving plans, because the only information we offer is really only of use to real buyers and sellers. So I hired 3 of them at once. And here's my mindset. I'm only looking for 1, but to get 1, I need to hire 3, because the other 2 aren't going to make it. And if I'm training 1, it doesn't take me any longer, to train 3. So if I'm doing a webinar with 1, I might as well have 3 or 4 of them on the webinar. If I go into the office and I'm doing training, might as well be talking to 3 people. Well, sure enough, 1 of them lasted a week. So good idea when you're hiring outside sales agents or inside sales agents, hire a whole bunch of them at once. Understanding that a lot of them aren't going to make it. Just build that right into your plan.
I think that's the way most successful businesses, I know, sports organizations, sports teams, they do the same thing. They'll bring in 3, 4, 5 different people. They need 1, and they compete. They may not know they're competing, but eventually they realize that. They get squeezed out or whatever.
Hey, Art is asking a question. I'm getting a bad echo now. Hey, Todd, try mute your mic while I'm talking, see if that makes it go away. Okay, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, I think that fixes it. Okay, so I've been doing that while you've been talking too. Okay, so Art is asking this question. Would you hire an outside sales agent who has a very high S, however, very, very low D&I? My answer would be no. Nope, I wouldn't hire a low D&I for an outside sales agent. You want the opposite. And every time, Art, I've ignored the results of the DISC test, I am sadly reminded of that mistake months and months later. The test doesn't lie. Sometimes what happens is, we really like someone, or we follow our gut. Well, I know the test says no, but my gut says yes. Well, you'll regret that decision. The test rules in my mind. They don't score high D&I. They're probably not going to make it as an outside sales agent. Or look, I have a lot of C in my personality, but that's why I hired a lot of D's and I's. See, it doesn't matter what your personality is. It's all about hiring the best person for that position, right? So if you're an S or C and you're listening to me right now, you might say, so what are you saying, Craig? I can't do this. No, I'm saying you're going to be really good at the organizing part of it. It's the C part of my personality. My wife calls it anal, but it's the C part of my personality that enabled me to create all the systems. There's an advantage to every one of the 4 personalities. But if I'm hiring, I want to hire an outside sales agent, I'm going to look for a D or an I. If I'm hiring somebody that's going to take care of details, I'm going to hire an S or a C. Okay, next question. Heidi is asking this. Hi, guys. Would you be setting the expectation before they join your team? Darn tootin', absolutely. Heidi, think about this. Imagine if, imagine a real company hiring you, and then after they hire you, then they tell you what they expect of you. It would never happen, right? IBM would never do that. They would never hire you and agree to your salary, and then after they've hired you say, okay, well, here's what we expect of you. No, 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 they wouldn't do that. They would do that from the onset. They would say, Heidi, here's exactly what we expect of you. If you take on this position, you're going to be responsible for all of these things. Are you willing to sign on and take responsibility? Are you able and willing to do what we expect you to do? That discussion would happen before they hired you. Well, in real estate, we don't do that, mostly because we're not that organized. Here's what I did. Heidi, when I hired my first assistant, here's my mindset. I'm really, really busy and I need some help. Like, who has time for job descriptions and organizational charts? I'll go left and you go right, and let's get some stuff done. Right? That's about as organized as real estate agents usually get, if they even get that far. Right? Like, just making the decision to hire somebody and to get some help is a quantum leap in thinking over the 99th percentile who just work harder and grow old and become unhappy. Victor's asking, did you hire them on probation? Absolutely. You want to always have a probation period. I like 90 days. You see this inside sales agent, Todd, that I hired a week ago? I didn't even have to fire her. She fired herself after a week. Fantastic. Right? If they're not going to make it, like, I'd rather know in a week. Imagine how much time I would have wasted with her over the next couple months.
Yeah, speaking of that, there's an activity plan for that. Like, if they quit, say an outside sales agent quits, walks out on you, there's a checklist for that. We call it the exit interview activity plan. So yeah, I mean, it's going to happen. And what do you do? Like, what happened? You know, like, I don't know about you, Craig, but in my office, when an agent, you know, would walk in and quit, sometimes there was typically business that would be left hanging. Clients in the lurch, deals that you know, were just about to come together, or maybe coming together, headed to closing. This agent was involved in business; it was a mess. So once that happened a few times, you know, we didn't want it to happen anymore. So we put an activity plan together to deal specifically with that, and that reduced the problems, got us back on track, you know, with our mission of the client's experience. So anyway. All of these things result in there's a process or an activity plan or a checklist for these specific things. Every process and decision-making point has one. So,
okay, so Pamela says, Todd, are you going to be doing some more training on how to pull this off, on how to recruit, how to hire? Because she says, this is where I'm having the most trouble. I spend a lot of time mapping out exactly what I want the administrative help to do, but I'm having bad luck with the people I've hired. It's a hassle, isn't it, Pamela? We put all this time into it, and when it doesn't work out, here's what we all say. And we all say it. We all say, you know what, it's not worth it. So much work goes into hiring them and training them, and then they screw it all up. It'd just be so much easier if I just went back and did it myself. But the truth is, that's not really an option. You know, going back and doing it ourselves is not an option.
Yeah. Since the June event, I've been accumulating a few more materials and stories for the webinar at the end of the month that we've got set up for Platts the last week of the month. I've already got that already scheduled and ready to go. and it deals specifically with recruiting. So we got into this in Orlando, and we did a pretty good job over the course of a couple of hours working specifically on that. So in a couple of weeks here at the end of the month, on the Platinum webinar that I've got scheduled, and you guys will see the emails from that, we're going to go back through these materials. I'm going to show you more specifically and in-depth this whole method and process for recruiting agents. And so if you're on the webinar today, it'll make good sense for you because it deals directly with processes and systems that are predictable so that you have basically a steady stream of leads coming to you from outside sales agents, as well as what to do when you get into a pinch and you really need someone. There's a process and method for that as well. So yes, to answer the question, we've already got that set up and scheduled for a couple of weeks from now.
Hey Todd, have you talked to the Platinum members about the ISA recording system that we've rolled out?
No, not yet.
Okay, so here's what we've been testing with the titanium level folks is, and I think a few plats have it, is we have a system now where your inside sales agents, all their calls can be recorded and they'll be sent to your smartphone. So you immediately, if you wish, can listen to them making their calls. First of all, before you delegate the phone calls, you folks need to be good with the script yourself. Because here's what I'd like you guys to do. I would like you to record you calling back the leads. Okay, record a bunch of your really good calls, and then when you hire your inside sales agents, wouldn't it be great if they could listen to you, recordings of you making the calls, and then you can listen to recordings of them making the calls, and you can critique them, and you could give them immediate feedback, right? So if one of my inside sales makes a call right now and it goes to my smartphone right away, I can listen to it, and then I could email them. I could just email the file back with my critique. You know, I thought you did a really good job here and here, but you might want to change this, and here's why. And that was like really big for us. So, for example, these new inside sales agents that I hired, the 3 that I just hired, what we had James McDonald record a whole bunch of callbacks in different situations. So James recorded calls that he made to agents that attended one of his half-day seminars but didn't buy the seminar, or people that came on a webinar. We had all these recorded sales calls for them to listen. So we took what was in our head, and we've got a system now. So here's the truth is, and nobody really likes to hear this, but if we have trouble recruiting good people and training them and getting it to work, you know, we have to take responsibility for this ourselves, right? Like all these people that we recruit and it doesn't work out, at some point you've got to say, well, there's something I need to learn about this, right? So you've got to create a system so it is easy to recruit them, and it's easy for you to get these good people that you've put through this rigorous recruiting system to do well. Okay, so like what is your, like if Todd and I were to follow you around, could you show us what your system is? What's your system to recruit and train inside sales agents or outside sales agents? The better your system is, the more success you're going to have. So what we'd like to do is we'd like to offer you a 30-day trial on this recorded program. Now here's the thing, I can't take you all on at once. Okay, and you will have to pay for this. I think it's like $100 a month if you want to keep the thing. But if you want to do a trial, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll take the first 20 of you that respond, and you can just email Todd, and Todd, you could forward them to Adrian, and we'll set up 20 of you. We've already done this with the titanium level. Todd and I are meeting with the titanium guys on Thursday and Friday, and they love it, by the way. So if you guys want to try this out, we'll let you try it absolutely free of charge for a month. If you love it, you'll have to pay for it. But this will enable you to record all your calls for demonstration. Demonstration is very important. And if you've got inside sales agents or even if your outside sales agents are making calls to your leads, wouldn't it be wonderful for you to hear them? You see, it's one thing to have the universal callback script. Okay, that's like this system. That's what we want them to do. But every system needs to be, there needs to be measurement of the system. Right? Like if you give your inside sales agents the script and you say, go do this, you're just trusting, okay, well, I guess they're using it, right? But how do you know? So every system needs to be policed. So this will enable you to listen to your people, and you'll hear some really good things, but also keep in mind you'll be kind of shocked. You're going to hear, you're going to hear some things that will make you kind of frustrated, but at least you'll know and we can correct it. So the first 20 of you that respond who would like to be set up on the free ISA recording system, we'll give you a 30-day trial. Just shoot Todd an email. What email address do you want to go to, Todd?
Let's go to platinum@toddwalters.com.
Okay. Platinum@toddwalters.com. First 20 that come in, Todd, forward them over to Adrian, and we'll get everyone set up. My goal is to have everybody on this. So the reason we're going to give it to 20 of you for free is when we get together in September at the big conference in Anaheim, the 20 that got the free, that doing the free trial, you will be our best salespeople because you're going to be blown away by this, and you're going to say to everybody else, you want to do this too. Okay, so it's very cool. What you'll do is you'll program a special number like a speed dial button. Your inside sales agents or you will press the button. It'll dial the number, and then you enter the prospect's phone number, and it's recorded. And you could have a recording go back to your inside sales agent and a copy of it go back to you if you wish. Anyway, we'll give you instructions on how to use it. But that is something we've been working on because we need measurement. And I'm going to harp on this again. You guys all need to be good with the script. Don't abdicate responsibility. There's no sense in you spending money generating leads and then giving the leads to people that don't know what to do with the leads. You can't just hand them the script and say, good luck. That's abdicating responsibility. Delegating something means truly teaching someone else how to do it. And I'm going to remind you all that Todd and I called the leads back, that we cherry-picked the best leads right to the end of our real estate career. We didn't delegate all of them. We knew the best leads were the seller leads asked for report number 1. Those leads would go to Todd and I. All the leads got called, but I'm not going to give away the best leads and keep the crappy leads. I'm going to hog the best leads. And I'm going to give the overflow to my inside sales agents. And I am going to teach the real estate agents, the inside sales agents, how to do this. How am I able to do it? Because I'm really good with the script. You can't delegate something that you're not good at. Now, you guys have heard me say this over and over again, but we still have members that say, yeah, that's not my thing, Craig. Todd, I really don't like making the calls, so I'm not going to bother really becoming an expert at that script. I'll just hire somebody else. Maybe I can get some guy in the Philippines to do it or something, just make that all go away. I'm not really interested in it. Hey, look, Todd and I weren't really interested in calling back prospects over and over again for 20 years using the same script. It's not like we got up and said, oh, yippee, we get to call back the leads. However, it was the most dollar productive thing we did. I'm going to argue this. People say, well, Craig, why didn't you delegate calling back the leads? Because I could make way more money calling back the leads than any other part of my real estate business. I'll challenge any of you on that. What else could Craig Proctor have done where he could make more in an hour than calling back the leads? It certainly wasn't going out on listing appointments. How many homes could I list in an hour? Maybe one. How many listing appointments could I set up in the same hour? 6 or 7? Let's say it's 6. I'm on a 50-50 split, we'll say, with my outside sales agents. Well, half of 6 is 3. So I would have to list 3 homes in an hour to make the equivalent of 50% of 6 appointments that I can set from the comfort of my home. So you should learn to love it. You should, even if you don't like making the calls, if you really like making a lot of money and you want to work on truly the most productive thing that you could possibly work on, and I'm not saying you won't delegate the overflow. I did that too. But Todd and I, we cherry-picked the best leads. We became really good with the script, and that's why we could teach other people how to use the script. First of all, it'll help you with your conversion, but now you've got that opportunity of teaching someone else how to do what you're really, really good at. But I see this happening again and again where our members, they generate leads, they don't master the script, and then they abdicate responsibility to someone else, and then they complain that the leads are no good or they're not making any money or they're not that profitable. Well, there's why. Anything you want to add to that, Todd?
No, I think that's a pretty good monologue, and I like the point that you made, is that we were willing to do things that we didn't necessarily enjoy that much doing. And I think that separates those that are most successful with...
That should be a poster right there. I want everyone to write that down. Suck it up and do things that you don't necessarily enjoy doing, but do it because it's the most productive thing that you could do.
Yeah, I think
we did a lot of stuff we didn't want to do, and we had a lot of discipline. I mean, I think that's why Jim Buttrell, you guys know Jim Buttrell, he's a Marine. I think that's why he's successful. He does stuff, he's used to doing stuff he doesn't want to do. Takes some discipline, right? Being successful is not easy. That's why so few people see it. But it sure is rewarding when you've got it all up and going, because eventually, yes, you don't have to call the leads because you've been able to teach other people how to do it. But it starts with you becoming an expert at it. And the only way you become an expert at it is doing something you don't want to do, which is calling back the leads and becoming a master at it. Then you can delegate it and eventually be free of it. So don't want to harp on it, but I see it over and over and over again. And, some people get it and some people don't.
Okay, so a few parting thoughts there, Mr. Proctor, on this topic today. And we covered a lot of ground, but I think we were pretty clear and evident that one of the primary responsibilities of those watching the webinar today is really sit around and think about how not to do things, just as much as you think about doing things. So there is a separation here and it's an obvious one, in those that struggle and those that are just ultra successful. And from the 1,000-foot level, for me, it's pretty easy to see because I've been there, and that is that we've got really good processes and systems, and we understand that the first thing we want to run to is a pen and paper and write down the checklist, the magical checklist of what should happen in a perfect world when X happens. Okay, so that checklist is the system, and then it's just a matter of getting that into your process for doing things. But I don't think you need to work that hard. I just think you can copy. So we've given you all the checklists, all the plans, step by step, how it should be done, and you can modify it based on the level of your business. Okay, there are things, and I pointed out some obvious ones that I did in Georgia here, my real estate business, that you may not have to do in Philadelphia or Pennsylvania or Maine or California or whatever. But in the opposite is true. There are going to be things you're going to have to implement and do things. So that's where the coaching comes in, is how to modify some of these things to fit with basic marketplaces, whether it's on the marketing side, message to media to market match, or whether it's on the operational side, just simple activities, the way things are done there. Collection of commissions, for example, collecting your fee deficiency when working with buyers. Marketplace is a little bit different on these things. That's why the coaching is there. But make no mistake about it, every one of you have bought a system. You've bought the Craig Proctor Quantum Leap system. It is the franchise for a millionaire real estate agent business, exclusive to you. So it's an ongoing process of implementation of the system, and we're here to guide you through it. So anyway, that was a lot of great information today, Craig. And as always, when I'm talking to you, I learn a few additional things to help me in my present situation.
Brian typed into chat. He said, "Thanks, Craig, for the rant. I needed it." But look, that's Todd and I see this as our job is to constantly, remind you guys. And when we talk in general, of course, we're not talking to everybody because many of you are doing a great job and doing everything we're suggesting, but we want to make sure that we get through to everybody. No man left behind. We're passionate about this. The only reason I rant every once in a while is because I want you to hear me on this. Like, we know how to do this, and we want you guys to do it. We want you to be successful.
Okay, so to help everybody with that, make sure that you get to the coaching site. Click on the schedule, click on events, and that's not too early to register for September 17th through 19th in Anaheim, California for the Platinum Millionaire Agent.
That's going to be a big, big meeting. So my advice to everybody is, yes, let us know you're going to be there. Get your hotel room booked. Don't dilly-dally on this one. And I know, we always say, well, the next one's going to be the big one, but this truly is. And I think you'll all remember, if you were in Anaheim at the last one, you saw it was big. I mean, it was noticeably bigger in size. That was the Anaheim meeting, Platinum meeting in April, and this one will be that much bigger. So if you want the discounted hotel rooms, I would call Tina at the travel firm. I would take care of your plans. I mean, heck, we're in July here. It won't be long, and it's just around the corner. So make your plans, get your airfare, get everything set up, and when you do all that, we know one thing: when you book your hotel room and you book your airfare, you're coming, right? You don't book your airfare, you dilly-dally on this, and you don't book your hotel, then what you're saying is maybe. There's a chance, let's face it, there's a chance that you might not be there. So let's commit, and let's get the hotel room booked, the airfare room booked, and we know you're going to be there.
Yep, got a few surprises at that big conference here, so don't want anybody to miss out on. All right, Craig, appreciate your time today, my man. Where are you off to?
Yeah, I will see you tomorrow in Atlanta, Todd. I'm landing at 6 o'clock. I will see you. Looking for a great couple of days with the Titanium members. Reminder again, if you want to get the free Inside Sales Agent Training System, the recording system, shoot an email to Todd. He'll send it over to Adrian, and we'll get you set up. We've already tested this out with Titanium members. They love it, and now we're going to open it up to some Platinum members. We can't do everybody all at once, though, because we're just not prepared for that volume. Adrian right now is doing it manually. So look, I want to thank you for having me on here today, Todd. I had a great time here with everybody. Hope everyone enjoyed it. And I'll pass it over to you, Todd, for some final remarks.
Yeah, I was looking for the agenda for the September 17th through 19th. I was getting some numbers a little bit ago. The Toronto Platinum OSA workshop, we're a little bit oversold there. So there's a good chance you might not have a hotel room if you're wanting to come to that. And I know that's just in a few weeks here, but that one sold out really early. So anyway, if you were emailing me and you wanted to bring additional team members along, waiting on some spots to free up, it doesn't look like they're going to be there. So anyway, that's going to be a fantastic outside sales agent workshop there in Toronto. And I'm going to get this agenda cleaned up and posted to the coaching site here, so all you guys can take a look at that if you want to. Not that it should have any bearing on whether you're coming or not. All of these sessions were well thought out based on member feedback, what you wanted. So I'm looking forward to seeing everybody there. All right, so the train's coming, so I'm going to let you guys go.
Is that signal the end of the webinar?
Yeah.
All right, well, thanks, everybody. We'll talk to everybody soon. Todd, you're doing a great job here. Thanks. I want to thank everybody for being part of the program. Take care, and that concludes today's webinar.
Thanks, Kurt.